Hello, welcome to the second week of this massive open online course Introduction to PLSQL Program Units. You are viewing the third video of this week, Handling Internally Defined Exceptions in PLSQL. In order to enter new employees into the HR database, Jill had developed a form in the new HR administration system. Later, Jill is informed that one of the HR administrators faced issues while using this form in the application. After analyzing the underlying PLSQL code, Jill realizes that the issue occurs whenever she tries adding an employee whose email ID is missing. She figures out that the employees table does not allow null values for the email ID column. Her code encounters a runtime error whenever an employee record is inserted without a value for the email ID. Jill decides to fix this issue by handling this exception in the exception block of the corresponding program. But to her surprise, she finds out that this exception, ORA 01400, does not have a predefined name in PLSQL. She wonders how to write an exception handler without knowing the exception name. However, it is clear from the scenario that the exception being raised here is an internally defined exception. So let's learn how to trap and handle internally defined exceptions and fix this issue. The PLSQL program shown on the screen reproduces the exception discussed. In the executable block, there is an insert statement to create a new record in the employees table. Note that this statement does not include any value for inserting into the email ID column. If you execute this program, it fails with a runtime error ORA 01400 cannot insert null into hr.employees.email. To handle internally defined errors, you need to follow a three-step process as shown on the screen. Step 1. Declare a variable of type exception in the declarative section. Step 2. Associate it with the internally defined exception using pragma exception underscore init function. Pragma exception underscore init function associates an exception name with an Oracle error number. This enables you to refer to any internal exception by name and to write a specific handler for it. Step 3. Handle the internally defined exception in the exception section by writing a handler referring to the exception name associated in the declarative section. Now, let's modify the original program with statements to handle the ORA 01400 error. As step 1, a variable e_insert_excepp is declared as exception data type. As step 2, this variable is associated with the internally defined exceptions error code using pragma exception underscore init function. Here, ORA 01400 is the standard Oracle server error number for this exception. As step 3, an exception handler is coded in the exception block using e_insert_excepp as the exception name in the when clause. On executing this program, the program prints the message given in the exception handler instead of abnormally terminating it. This example handles the exception by printing an information message. However, in practical solutions, a more meaningful action is defined in the exception handler. Before concluding this video, let's learn about two SQL functions that can be helpful while trapping exceptions. Whenever an exception occurs, you can use the SQLCODE and SQLERRM functions to identify the associated error code and error message respectively. Based on the values of the code or the message, you can decide which subsequent actions to take. This is a sample code that demonstrates using the SQLCODE and SQLERRM functions in an exception handler. Note that you have to declare PLSQL variables with compatible data types to hold the values returned by these functions. Notice how the error code and error message returned by these functions are printed in the output. These functions are helpful in handling exceptions in others' handler because they identify the runtime error that caused the exception. By now, you have learned how to handle both predefined exceptions and internally defined exceptions in PLSQL. To get a complete list of ORA errors, refer Oracle Database Error Messages reference. The link to this reference is shown in the YouTube video description. If you want to get a list of names and error codes of the predefined exceptions in PLSQL, click the second link in the YouTube video description. In this video, you should have learned how to associate a name to the internally defined exceptions using pragma exception underscore init function. You have seen code examples of how to handle internally defined exceptions and how to use SQLCODE and SQLERRM functions while handling the exceptions. To practice what you've learned, solve the assignment posted for this video on the OLL course page. Please post your questions, if any, in the course forum whose link is shown here. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day.